What's up, guys? So, couldn't catch the HBO boxing match. Couldn't find a stream. Couldn't find a feed. I know it sucks. I really wanted to catch those fights, but had a couple of good ones with the UFC tonight. So, I'm just going to run through the results of the card real quick. I don't want to get into any long, drawn-out explanations or anything like that. Still getting pretty used to the Facebook live feed stuff. So, just a quick top-to-bottom rundown of like the highs and lows of the card for me. So, main event, Jacare Souza yet again knocks out Derek Brunson in the first round. Looked like Brunson might have been putting Jacare in a little bit of trouble with some flurries. I mean, nothing was landing quite clean, but he was backing Jacare up. Jacare's right hand landed a few times, but it wasn't really deterring Brunson. It looked like he was taking the shot well. But then Brunson went to block the high kick with just the one hand, and it put him down. It didn't knock him out cold, but it wobbled him pretty badly, sent him to the side of the cage. He was tumbling, and Jacare followed up with a couple of punches. Right hand put him down on his knees against the fence, and then a couple of short left hooks, and Dan Margliotta stepped in. I do believe it was Dan Margliotta. He stepped in to wave off the fight, and some people complained about the stoppage, saying it was a little too early. I thought it was fine. I mean, what do you want? You want him to let Derek Brunson get beat into unconsciousness? I mean, I've... It's one of those things. It's like you got to look out for the best interest of the fighter. Defend yourself intelligently. That is the thing. Is defend yourself at all times. Can you really consider what Brunson was doing as intelligent defense? No, he was just trying to stand up. His natural instinct was to get back to his feet, and he wasn't blocking any of the shots. I think a couple more of them would have just flatlined him, and there's no reason for him to take that kind of punishment. But good on Jacare, solid performance for him. It's not really something that's going to boost him towards the title. I mean, he's kind of older now. He's coming off his second loss in the UFC. This being his first win of the year, first win in I think since late 2016 maybe. Let me look at my handy dandy tablet here. He is now 38, which that's up there in age for any kind of fighter in any combat sport. Hey, let me adjust this light a little bit, see if I can get it brighter in here. Sorry, like I said, still getting used to this setup. Yeah, that was... Oh no, he had the submission win over Tim Bosch in February of last year. My bad. And then got knocked out by Robert Whitaker in April. Said he had some injuries going into that fight, some injuries to deal with after it. But, he talked about it going into this fight, that he felt refreshed, he felt rejuvenated, had a good training camp. So, props on. And for Derek Brunson, it's another one of those losses for him where it's like, you just can't quite hang with the elite. His skill set just seems to be a little too limited. And I don't want to sound critical, but his wrestling isn't good enough to hang with the best of them. His striking is pretty limited to those low kicks and the left straight, the overhand left. Not a lot of variety to what he does. It's like he either gets the first round knockout or he usually gets wilted. So again, Jacare Souza wins by TKO at 350 of the very first round. Nice head kick. Congratulations to Jacare. I'd like to see him fight like maybe Chris Weidman next. I think that'd be a good matchup, or I don't know, maybe they'll throw him in there with Kelvin Gastelum. I don't know. I think either one of those guys would be an interesting fight. And for Derek Brunson, I don't really know who he could fight. It'd have to be maybe if excuse me. Maybe if they're feeling pretty sore at Johnny Hendricks still, they could throw him in there with Johnny Hendricks, but I don't see that happening. It just didn't seem like a good matchup for where those two guys are at. I don't know. Maybe they could stick Tim Bosch and Derek Brunson together. I don't know what Tim Bosch is doing these days. Let me look at him. Come on. Here we go. I think that could be an interesting match as long as Bosch isn't coming off of a win. I don't like matching guys. Yeah, he's just coming off that Johnny Hendricks knockout. Let me see if he actually has a fight lined up. No fight lined up. But hey, maybe they do that. It could be a fun fight. But so Jacare, good win. Still some of the same problems I saw with his stand-up. I mean, it was like a kick here and there, and then a right hand. Still pretty limited, but he's an older guy. He's not going to get too many more tools in the toolbox at this point. Maybe it's just more honing the craft and doing things a little differently. And for Brunson, this probably killed any hope he has of really ever getting close to the title. Win over Jacare would have been 3 in a row, and could have potentially got him to a fight that could lead to a number 1 contenders fight. But yeah, I don't see it happening for Brunson at this point. I think he's got too much ground to cover to become one of the elite of the elite. But moving on to co-main event, Dennis Bermudez versus Andre Fili. There was some questioning about this decision, and I completely understand why. It was like you either score for the forward aggression and volume of Dennis Bermudez, or the counter striking of Andre Fili with a mixed in couple of takedowns, where I think somebody on like Twitter said it was like a total of 14 seconds of top control. And I'm not going to really bag on the decision because I'm just talking about the fight. It's not really my place to say if the judges got it wrong or right. I don't want to be in their shoes. Pretty sure they'd much rather be here in my shoes just talking about some stuff online. But Bermudez was constantly coming forward, pumping that jab. He has a very snappy little jab that he throws out. Still had some of the liabilities in his defense as far as like getting out of the way of the punches afterwards. But the wrestling really surprised me of Andre Fili. He shut down Bermudez's wrestling pretty effectively, except for a few spots. Bermudez tried to get him down against the fence a few times, but never really accomplished much there besides some control. I will say I am kind of surprised that Fili got the nod, because it seemed like Bermudez landed more the low kicks. The low kicks were money for him all fight long. They traded jabs. I know Cruz talked about Fili's jab a lot, but those little T-Rex arm jabs of Bermudez were landing too. He still came in lunging with that left hook a few times, but I can see how the judges also scored it for Fili, because he was drawing Bermudez in. He landed some good check hooks, some good jabs. Those takedowns were beautifully timed. I thought that was the most impressive aspect of the fight for me, was that Bermudez was able to shuck off or not Bermudez, that Fili was able to shuck off Bermudez's wrestling as easy as he did. That was the thing that stood out to me most about the fight. So I won't brag on the decision. I will say I thought Bermudez could have edged it, but I'm not upset that Fili got it. I think the total strikes comparison is like, I think Bermudez outlanded him in like total strikes maybe 2-1, something like that. It was like 130-74, something like that. I can't remember the exact numbers, but for Bermudez, this is his 3rd straight loss. Really tough spot to be in, especially at his age, with as long as he's been in the sport. Maybe we'll see him, go fight a guy like who's at 45 that he could face off against. Maybe we'll see him face Goffredo Pepe, who just lost in the co-main event, but he might have actually already beat him. I can't remember. It's hard to say, but I'd like to see Fili versus who's a good guy at 45 he could face. Hey, maybe throw him in there with Mirsad Bektik, but I don't know. That seems like a little bit too much of a mismatch as far as where they actually stand in the rankings. As Fili is like kind of a guy who's been in the game for a while and is still trying to put it all together, where Bektik is probably being straight shotted for the title. Let me look at the official UFC rankings and get an idea on who these guys, or where these guys stand at the moment. Come on, go away. Go away. Damn pop-ups, they suck. Yeah, I know I probably should have had this stuff pulled out beforehand, but like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still getting used to it. All right, so the UFC 145-pound division, featherweight. Yeah, maybe we'll see Dennis Bermudez and Doo Ho Choi. They're both coming off losses. That might pretty much burn Bermudez if they're wanting him to get anywhere near the title. Yeah, I don't know. That might be... They might want to give Bermudez a break and let him try and get a win. But I don't know. He might be able to work over Choi. Choi has still showed some vulnerabilities in his last 2 fights are losses. But as far as Andre Fili, he cracks the top 15 with that win, so maybe not push him too fast. Let's see how he could do against a guy like Miles Jury. I like that. I think they both got a couple of wins now. Yeah, that could be a fun fight. Or maybe they put Mirsad Bektik and Miles Jury together. I don't know. But I'm not going to complain about the decision too much, but Bermudez does seem like he just hasn't evolved enough with the game for it to really push him into the next level. And Fili, while he's not a guy who I could see really getting to the title, he could be one of these top 15, like bottom half, top 10 to like number 15 kind of guys who floats around. And it's like, oh, if you can beat him, you're pretty good. But anyway, to finish that off, Fili gets the split decision. Kind of controversy in the decision, but I'm not going to complain about it too much. The Jordan, Rinaldi, and Gregor Gillespie fight I actually missed because my stream cut out. But from what everybody said, that All-American Wrestling pedigree paid him off, because apparently I looked up some of the highlights just where the finish was, and he just was on top of him, beating the shit out of him. So that's kind of how I thought this fight would play out, as to be a showcase fight for him. Props to him. Maybe we'll see him fight somebody just not too much of a step up, but just a little like inch higher in the division. So you don't want to rush these kind of prospects. I mean, that was only like his 11th fight. You want to grow him a little bit. I don't want to say pad the record, but you got to challenge him bit by bit. Now I'll skip over to Drew Dober and Frank Camacho. It was they actually got performance of the night, if I remember. Yeah, they got fight of the night. Sorry. Oh, and my bad. Ronaldo Souza got a performance of the night for the knockout with a head kick. I'd mention that real quick. Dober and Camacho got the fight of the night. It was a pretty sloppy fight. Both guys seemed to get a little bit tired at times. Drew Dober reminds me so much of Rick Story and like the way he throws, and he's like that hard-nosed wrestler with big power. But there's not. I don't see either one of these guys, moving up or down because of this. It just kind of gives them job security, and they keep putting on good fights, keep winning. Or for Dober, maybe get one of these fights with one of the bottom end of the top 15 guys. Let me see. I think he's got a couple fights in a row now. Move over to welterweight, see where the rankings stand there. So I don't want to like push all the guys on this card who won into like contender type matches, because that makes no sense. Not everybody on this card was the future contender, but you want to give these guys a little bit of credit when they put together a win streak, because up until this fight, Andre Fili was win and loss in his entire UFC career. This is the first time he's got 2 fights in a row. So Drew Dober has won. What is it? He's won 2 in a row. So. Yeah, give him a little bit of a step up, or put him against somebody else that he can be in a fun action fight with. And for Frank Camacho, yeah, just keep letting him feel where he's at in the UFC. I don't see him becoming a contender by any means, but I'll give him some fights that he can win, some that he can lose. Maybe build somebody off of him here and there. But Fox Sports, excuse me, I'm horrible right now. Fox Sports 1 prelims. I gotta slow myself down. I'm getting all hyped up and excited. But the main card, Souza got the knockout in the first round, got a performance of the night for it, defeated Derek Brunson. Andre Fili took a contentious split decision over Dennis Bermudez. Gregor Gillespie dominated Jordan Rinaldi, which is kind of what I expected that fight to be. And then Drew Dober beats Frank Camacho in a pretty back-and-forth slug fair. So the Fox Sports 1 prelims, Bobby Green defeated Eric Koch by unanimous decision, and I think I actually picked Koch going in this just because he was a guy I was a little bit less, I had a little bit less sour taste in my mouth about. I can't remember what it was that made me dislike Bobby Green, but props to him. He kept his pace going on his feet, abandoned so much of that shoulder roll that he likes to try and do, really put it on Eric Koch, starting off and like towards the end of the first round, putting the pressure. He got clipped by Coach's 1-2 a few times, but then he adjusted to it well. Scored a few takedowns here and there in some key spots in the fight to really win the judges over. And props to him. It's his first fight his first win in a few years. I can't complain about it. I enjoy it when like the veterans who've been on those kinds of skids get a win. And for Eric Koch, he's been fighting maybe not as long as Bobby Green, but he's been around for a while, and a loss here it's tough for him. It's 2 in a row. I think he's only won, let me check, maybe 3 or 4 out of his last 5 fights. Or I'm sorry, like 3 or 4 out of his last 6 fights. My freaking thing will work. I'll get to what I'm trying to say here in a second. Sorry guys, like I said, I'm still getting used to this. Yeah, he's won 2 out of his last 7. Back-to-back losses to Lamas and Poirier, went over Oliveira, got knocked out by Crookshank, beat Shane Campbell in 2016, so almost 2 years ago, and has had back-to-back losses as of late. Not a lot I can say there about that, so Koch is probably at the end of his run with the UFC. They'll probably, just because they don't cut guys very often nowadays, they might give him another fight, they might not, but who knows. And Bobby Green, maybe they'll give him that rematch with Lando Venata just because that was a fun fight, and why not let Venata cut his teeth a little bit more on another grizzled veteran. But they might need to take a step back. If they really want to push Venata as like a future contender or somebody with some star power, they need to work him up a little bit more, let him grow a little bit. Next fight down from the Fox Sports 2 prelims. I told you, Mirsad Bektic. The guy's nasty. He landed one of the most beautiful body punches I've seen this year. I think the only one that really could contend with how good of a body shot it was it was on the Bellator card, like Aaron Pico a few weeks ago, landed a nasty left hook to the liver, where Mirsad Bektic landed an overhand right to the solar plexus, like right below the sternum, just crumpled him. It was awesome. I picked Bektic on that. I said this is going to be like a real good rebound fight for him. Should walk over Pepe, and I really don't like making bold statements like that, but that's the kind of performance I expected from a guy like Bektic. At first, it looked like Pepe was giving him a little bit of trouble with the range, shot a couple of uppercuts in there, a couple of knees, but Bektic found the timing on that right hand to the body, because when you can't reach those tall guys, when they're keeping a good distance on you, and you just can't quite get to the chin, going to the body is a smart thing, and he utilized it perfectly. So I was very impressed with that. Excuse me. I'm stumbling all over the place tonight, guys. So I was very happy with that performance from Mirsad Bektic. Rebounded from that tough loss to Darren Elkins. Can't wait to see where he is next. And I'd like to see him fight a guy like, who was I talking about him fighting? Miles Jury, yeah. See how he does against a guy like Miles Jury. If that's not an option that the UFC wants to pursue, yeah, give him a guy like Andre Fili, who won tonight as well. Gradual steps up. They can't just jump into the deep end of the pool. You want to ease these guys into the kind of fights, because as it was shown in the Darren Elkins fight, you get one of these young up-and-comers, comes out strong against the veteran. Veteran takes over in the later half of the fight and stopped Bektic. Well, he learned from that loss, and that was a beautiful body shot that he dropped. He came in with the jabs, threw the overhand to the body, and when you can't reach the taller man, the body's always there. That's good training. He's listening to his coaches. That's something I love it when MMA fighters attack the body, because you just don't see it that often. I mean, it's one of the most underutilized or under-attacked areas in MMA to me. And it's still it's baffling. But moving down the card, The rest of the fights I'm just kind of going to glance over because they weren't all that eventful, and not going to lie, it was kind of hard to stay captivated and really see a lot that was going on. Kukijin and Maria Romero Barella, I hope I'm saying that right. I don't want to butcher it, but it might have came off a little butchered. What can I say? What I remember most about that fight is that there was a lot of volume thrown, but not a lot was happening off the volume. I remember seeing some kind of back and forth on how you could really score this. I think Connor Rebush from Bloody Elbow might have said that this fight's dumb just at one point. Or it might have been Zane Simon tweeting. I don't know. I wasn't checking their feed all night. But, yeah, it was one of those fights where it's like these women's divisions, you got to let them grow. You got to stick the fight somewhere, even if you know it might not be the best. You got to let these girls cut their teeth in the competition. Randa Marcos easily out-grappled Juliana Lima. This is kind of how I expected that fight to go. One of them get their momentum. Ji-Yeon Kim versus Justine Kish was pretty fun. It was some back and forth striking exchanges. Kish probably could have utilized her kicks a little bit better, but then again, her kicks looked really stiff. It's probably something she'll have to work out with her coaches in the gym. And I liked the right hand, but when she got, I'll just call her Kim. When she got Kim ducking out of the way of that right hand, she probably could have benefited from changing it up and hitting the uppercut, because it was a lot of just like jab, overhand hook, not a lot of variety in the strikes. But I think it was a split decision, yeah. So maybe switching in and getting a clinch and going for a takedown here and there. It all really depends on, as a young fighter who hasn't been fighting for that long. I think this was only like her 8th fight, maybe. You got to work on those extra skills in the gym, because on the feet it was, yeah, she had a okay stand-ups. You know, the jab and the overhand landed here and there, and the left hook landed a few times. But she was fighting the younger, quicker fighter. It's when you're so even in one area, you got to mix it up a little bit. You want to. It's like, okay, if I'm doing all right in the stand-up, let me do something to definitively take it out of their area of expertise. But that's just, the fight kind of played out how I thought it would. Well, not necessarily that fight. The Marcos and Lima fight, yeah, that's kind of how I expected that one. But that one was better. The Kish and Kim fight, that was better than what I was expecting. And then Vince Pichel and Joaquin Silva, that fight was going on when I was doing my first pre-fight breakdown earlier, so I missed pretty much all of that fight. And then the Fight Pass cards, Nico Price got a nice rear naked choke. Nico Price, I believe he knocked out Alan Jouban last year, and that's how he really got on my radar. Yeah, he knocked out Alan Jouban, then got submitted by Vincent Luque. I kind of like that guy. He has a couple of nasty left hook knockouts. So that was the 13th fight for Nico Price. So this is a good win for him, just as far as like getting himself on the right track, build the streak together, keep learning, keep gradually climbing up the ladder and putting those skills together. And then Corey Sandhagen and Austin Arnett. That was a fun little fight, and that was also another body shot that finished it off, left hook to the body. I love it when young fighters attack the body, because there's the old saying in boxing, if you kill the body, the head will die. And it is such an underutilized... Oh, what do I got going on here? Sorry. Stuff messing with my stream. Or my tablet. I'm looking at all this stuff on. It's late. I'm sorry. I'll get the hang of this. So, that was a great left hook to the body by Sandborg. Or Sandhagen. I'll just call him Corey, because I don't want to keep butchering the guy's name. I can't. It's been 6 hours or so since that fight happened. I just remember it was a really nice shot to the body. So, props there. That's the card. Like I said, I didn't get to catch the Matisse fight because I can't find a friggin' stream to watch it on. I don't have HBO TV. I just got some basic channels with Sling. This coming week, we've got Machida versus Anders. It's a Brazil card, I do believe, in Belém, Brazil. It's It's not looking any better than what this card was. The key is you got to find the right fights on the card to watch, the fun ones, the ones that'll get you through the whole card. I'll go over that card a little bit more thoroughly than this one. There doesn't appear to be too many more name fighters on the card than there was on this. Tim Means and Sergio Moraes, Alan Patrick, Yuri Alcantara and Joe Soto. Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith might be fun. And Valentina Shevchenko's on there. Dodson and Munoz should be fun. Machida and Anders. If Machida can't win that in fun fashion, I might lose faith in humanity. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up because I don't think y'all guys want to sit here and listen to me yam on too much. So highlights of the night: Souza and Brunson. Great knockout for Souza. I don't think he'll get into title contention, but at this point in the game, you know, with his bit of name value, he could be 1 or 2 wins away from fighting for the title. It just depends on who he faces, who's injured, whatnot. How long it takes Robert Whittaker to get back. So, props to Jcare, Brunson. Keep your chin up, man. You know, there's always the next one. Just get back in the gym, you know, work on those things. Props to Feely, always for my alpha male guys. I think I changed my mind at the last minute and picked Feely, but he won for all the reasons that I thought he wouldn't get it. Gregor Gillespie, I have to keep an eye on him. I like a good prospect. Props to Bobby Green. I used to really dislike him for some reason. I can't remember what. But, you know, he's had a couple of great fights back-to-back, and I like to see a veteran, you know, still showing up and putting it in. And for Eric Koch, you know, it's been a tough time for these Rufus Sport boys over the past few years. Bektik, do your thing. And to the female fighters, just keep growing, keep building up your skills, keep winning. You're building the foundations of the future of these women's divisions. And yeah, the other fights, you know, good job. And Corey, great left hook to the body. If you catch me at the end, I got some other stuff to work on. So follow me on the Facebook page, Covenant Kyle's Martial Arts Talk. Follow me on Twitter at Martial Art Talk. And I'll be back later this week doing something for the Machida Anders fight. And if there's some boxing or other MMA or kickboxing or Muay Thai or something like that on, I'll try and talk about it a little bit too. So, thanks for listening. Give me a like, give it a share, whatever you want to do. Signing off.